us, let's take a look at how the markets performed this week. First, to European stock markets as at Friday, the 3rd of February. Euro Stock 600 closed on 460.7. It was up by 0.34%. London FTSE All-Share Index closed at 7,901.8, up by 1.04%. That's quite a big rise. The markets in Germany saw the DAX close at 15,476.43. It was down by 0.21%, while the CAC 40 in Paris ended the week at 7,233.94, closing positive. To the Nigerian stock markets now. On Friday, the last day of trading on the Nigeria Stock Exchange, more than 268.05 million deals were traded in more than 4,017 deals on the stock exchange. The current market capitalization of the Nigerian Stock Exchange is 29.52 trillion naira, a total value of 2.35 billion naira. And finally, a look at Wall Street as at Friday, February the 3rd. Now for some top stories that made headlines this week in the business world. First to Libya. Italian energy giant Eni has joined forces with Libya's National Oil Corporation and signed an $8 billion gas production deal. The deal, signed during Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni's visit to Libyan capital Tripoli, aims to increase gas output and exports for the Libyan domestic economy, as well as boost energy supplies to Europe. Eni's CEO Claudio Descalzi said in a statement that the agreement will enable important investments in Libya's energy sector, contributing to local development and job creation, while strengthening Eni's role as a leading operator in the country. He added that output will begin in 2026 and reach a capacity of 750 million cubic feet per day of gas. Now to Ghana. The central bank raised its key interest rate by less than forecast as it expects the government to finalize a deal with the International Monetary Fund by the end of the first quarter, which should help stabilize the cedi and temper inflation. According to the Ghana Central Bank Governor Ernest Addison, the Monetary Policy Committee extended its steepest phase of interest rate increases by raising borrowing costs by more than 100 basis points to 28% on Monday. That was lower than the median prediction for her 200 basis point increase made by 7 economists in a Bloomberg survey. Now to Nigeria. The central bank has extended the deadline for Nigerians to deposit and exchange old Naira notes for the redesigned ones to February 10, after the initial January 31 deadline. That's in order to give people more time, especially in the rural areas where there are fewer bank branches, to make their swaps. According to the CBN, the Naira redesign is intended to encourage consumers to embrace digital payment systems and is a further push into a cashless society. The CBN is also hopeful the exchange will force some of the cash being hoarded by individuals and companies back into the banking system and help in understanding how money is circulated in order to aid the CBN's inflation management efforts. Nigeria's Vice President Yemi Osinbajo has said an effectively operated cashless monetary policy will go a long way to curb illicit election financing in the country. Osinbajo was speaking while playing host to a delegation of EU election observation missions heads led by the chief observer Barry Andrews, who is also a member of the European Parliament. That event happened at the State House in Abuja. While noting the serious difficulty in controlling election financing because of cash transactions, the Nigerian vice president also pointed to the infrastructure challenges that hamper Nigeria's bid for a truly cashless economy. Well, 7 months after Elon Musk initially announced that his satellite internet service, Starlink, had received approval to launch in Nigeria and Mozambique, Nigeria this week became the first African country to gain access to the internet service. The company made the announcement on its Twitter page on Tuesday. Pre-order sales for Starlink were announced only a few weeks ago, with the starter kits going for $600 for the hardware and $43 monthly subscription rates. Nigeria's Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Issa Pantami, confirmed the development, describing it as a milestone. Nigerians who will order Starlink, however, will find themselves paying more given the country's recent ban on international transactions on domestic cards. While the service offers pricing in Naira, payment cannot be made in Naira. According to Starlink availability maps, 20 more countries in Africa, including Zambia, Senegal, Morocco, and Angola, are all scheduled for a 2023 launch. MTN Nigeria has become the first publicly traded company in Nigeria to earn 2 trillion naira in revenue. The company released its financial report for 2022, recording a 21.6% increase from 2021 and profit after tax of 358.8 billion naira. That's an 18.3% increase from 2021. Despite Nigeria's current challenging macroeconomic factors such as high inflation rates, MTN's growth is even more impressive in a year with serious Naira volatility. The company also recorded growth in all business segments. This makes MTN the most profitable company in Nigeria, according to publicly published financial records. Britain is the only G7 nation to have suffered a cut to its 2023 economic growth outlook, according to the International Monetary Fund forecasts, which were published during the week. That adds to pressure on Finance Minister Jeremy Hunt to come up with a growth plan. The country's flagging economy now looks set to shrink by 0.6% this year. That's a sharp downgrade from previously expected growth forecasts of 0.3% from the IMF, which forecasted that in October. All other G7 economies are predicted to grow this year, mostly at a stronger pace than the IMF forecast 3 months ago. On Wednesday, the US Federal Reserve increased its benchmark interest rate by 0.25 percentage point, but there were few signs that this cycle of rate increases were coming to an end. The Fed Open Market Committee raised the Fed funds rate by 0.25 percentage points in line with market forecasts. That brings it to the highest goal range since October 2007 of between 4.5 and 4.75%. In the process that started in March 2022, the decision represented the 8th rise in a row. Now, still on rates, in the UK, the Bank of England has hiked its interest rate for the 10th time in a row as global authorities race to combat sky-high inflation. The Bank of England also forecasts a shallower than expected UK recession this year as the country faces a cost of living crisis. The BOE voted at a regular meeting to lift its key interest rate by 0.5 percentage point to 4%, the highest level since late 2008. Well, that's the market roundup.